beer nerds, Amanda Alch here. I am your host and guide into the awesome world of craft beers from Dallas, Texas to around the country. This is Brew for You. Cheers. That's right, we are in New Orleans, Louisiana, here for Mardi Gras, and it is going to be the best time. We're at NOLA Brewing Company. They made a beer specifically for the crew of Muses here at Mardi Gras, and today we are touring their brewery, and we're going to have an amazing time. This is your chance to get in on the action. Let the good times roll here on Brew for You. Come on in. So excited. We are doing my favorite part of every single show. We're doing the tasting, and today we've got Derek with us, who is an amazing brewer here at NOLA Brewing, and he's going to give us some awesome beers to try. What do we got?
Alright, so we got a whole different range of things. We're going to start out with the Girl Stout cookie, which is our Irish Channel Stout infused with cocoa nibs, fresh mint, and lactose to give it a little bit of sweetness. So we're kind of trying to make it taste a little bit like a Thin Mint cookie. And actually we're going to be serving this beer at the end of the month at a Cookies and Cocktails event, which is a fundraiser for the Girl Scouts of America. So
this is incredible. I mean, it's like so chocolatey and definitely super minty, really delicious stuff. I love it. All right, what do we got next?
Next is our Mecca. This is the big boy. We're starting out strong. This is our Imperial IPA. It's 8.8% alcohol. It's very hoppy. It's pretty much the hoppiest beer we make here on a regular basis.
Woo! What are the IBUs on that?
It's actually not that high. The IBUs are around 60. So a lot of our brews here, we feel that we're down south. We're not West Coast. We're not East Coast. So we keep our IBUs pretty low, but we like putting a lot of flavor and aroma hops because that's what we like. So the Mecca is our highest IBU at 60. So we keep the IBUs low here. But
still incredibly delicious. A lot of grapefruit and pine. Really nice, very balanced, and definitely doesn't have a lot of bite at the end like a lot of Imperial IPAs do. It's really nice.
Right, we try to make it easy drinking, which is kind of a little dangerous sometimes. We sometimes joke that Mecca can be a day recca.
I love that. All right, what do we got next?
Next is the Muses. This one was one I think you're already familiar with, but it's one we brewed for the crew of Muses, which is one of the Mardi Gras crews here in town. It was the first all-female crew. So we wanted to make a beer that was, female-oriented. I kind of got the go-ahead to make the girliest beer I wanted to make, and it took a while thinking about what that would be. And everyone was saying, put fruit in it, make it pink, and blah, blah, and I didn't really want to do something like that. I wanted to make it something that was crisp, easy drinking, but still was something that would appeal to people that might not always drink beer. So this one only has about I think 8 to 10 IBUs. It's very low in the bitterness.
Right.
And then we used a Belgian yeast strain to give it a little bit of fruitiness.
Sure.
And then a bunch of Galaxy hops to give it some more fruitiness. So there's a lot of flavor and aroma hops in there, but there's almost no bitterness. So it's a pretty easy one to start off with.
Well, I think, that's so good. I think there's kind of a stigma that women don't drink as much beer, but I really do think that this is so easy drinking. It's really delicious, very fresh, crisp and clean, and just isn't overtly sweet. It, like you said, has a little sweetness in there, but it's just really nice, and I think easy to enjoy on like a hot summer day, and it's really great. So.
Exactly, and the parade route's pretty long, so you want to be able to drink it from the beginning to the end. So we only came in at 4.4% alcohol, so it's a nice session beer. And yeah, it's kind of the thing I went for was, like I said, the low IBUs, because bitterness tends to be more of an acquired taste, and if you're not a big beer drinker, you get a big IPA, it's pretty off-putting until you become more accustomed with bitterness. But this one's nice and not too bitter, but it's crisp and dry, and it's a nice. I've been drinking it all Mardi Gras.
make a beer for one of the crews. That's really special and something that you guys have that you can say that you did.
Yeah, and it's actually the first beer that's been made specifically for a crew, and the Muses crew itself is a charity, so we donated a portion of the proceeds of the batch to the crew. We actually got the check in the parade last night. It was handed to us from a marching crew, and then went to the actual Muses ball, and we had passed it off to them last night. So
sure.
The check made it the whole parade route as well.
Yeah. All right. Awesome. Well, what do we got next?
Next is another one of my creations. This is Sauvage. It's our rebirth pale ale, but then we don't ever let it touch stainless. It's 100% barrel aged with Brettanomyces. We used a Dirty Dozen Brett strain from East Coast Yeast. We went with Dirty Dozen because that's a local band here. So we have the Rebirth Brass Band, the Dirty Dozen Brass Band. We got Sauvage out of that, which is the main entrance to Jazz Fest. So it's kind of.
Well, I think that's one thing that's really cool about the names of your beers. You guys actually allude to a lot of things in New Orleans. Your Hopatoulis, obviously, and I think that it's really neat that you guys pay homage to the city itself.
Yeah, and we are the only production brewery in the city. Dixie closed down a little bit before Katrina, and then we opened up 6 years ago, and we're the only production brewery in the city. And we're really proud of where we've come these last 6 years, and we pay homage to our city, which is inspiration for our beers as well.
Sure. All right, delicious. Now, what's the last one that we got? I'm a big sour fan, so
this one is our funky fruitcake. It's actually just, we made one keg of this because we were working on some experimental sours, and I needed more room to put more fruit in some barrels, so I took 5 gallons off of 3 separate barrels. So we have blackberry, peach, and apricot. Since it was around Christmas time, we called it the funky fruit cake, but it's very lactic, very sour.
Oh yeah, wow. That's really good though, it's amazing. I mean, it's super tart, but it's really, really good. And like I said, I love sours, they're delicious. They are kind of an acquired taste in the same way IPAs are, but they're really, really yummy. For somebody who's never been to NOLA Brewing, what do you think makes NOLA Brewing so special, and what sets it apart from the other beer sort of companies, breweries in Louisiana?
We try to make full flavored beers. The New Orleans cuisine is full flavored, so we want to have full flavored beers. We're not trying to make each beer appealing to a large audience. We want to make something that someone might not like all of our beers, but they're definitely going to love a few of them.
It's amazing, and I think that's so cool. New Orleans is full of so much culture, and it makes sense that all of your beers would be big and bold and full of flavor to go along with the food and the city itself. Well, it was so great to talk to you, Derek. You had so much to tell us about your beers, and I can't wait to try so many more. I'm super excited. You guys have a tour today.
Yep.
And if people want to come visit NOLA Brewing, when can they stop by?
The tap room's open 7 days a week. It's 2 to 11 on weekdays and 11 to 11 on weekends. But then we do a tour from 2 to 3 o'clock on Friday. So we give away free beer for an hour. You can come hang out with 200 of your closest friends.
Free beer for an hour? That sounds like a sweet deal. I'm all about that.
Cheers. Get drafted.
Thank you so much. We'll see you at the tasting. We're with Mackenzie, who is in charge. She is the VP of marketing here at NOLA Brewing, and we've got an amazing brew that we just tried from Muses. You guys dedicated that to the specific crew, which is amazing. Can you tell us something about that, how you teamed up with them, and how the response has been?
Yeah, it's been a really good response. We really wanted to team up with a crew that, it's an all-female crew, so we thought it'd be really cool to kind of make an approachable beer that, maybe females that aren't very familiar with beer, something that would kind of, be a good gateway for them into the craft beer world, which it has. So we've gotten a lot of good responses, and a lot of females that'll say last night at amusement, they're like, how's the beer? I don't even drink beer, and they'll order one, and they really liked it. So we're getting some good traction with it, and also it also benefits their nonprofit arm of the crew. So that's really awesome too, that we're able to kind of give back to the local community, which we're always looking to do more of. So.
Yes, and you guys are really the only sort of brewery, like craft brewery in New Orleans, which is amazing for you guys to say and sort of own that. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, it's pretty awesome, and especially with our tours, you know, where we're located is really convenient for people, for tourists that are downtown. They just take a 5-minute taxi up here for our Friday tours. So we'll get y'all will see, we'll get a big crew here. So that's kind of nice that we're able to kind of, you know, teach people about, you know, our culture and you know, bringing craft beer back to New Orleans.
Sure. Now, obviously, you celebrated with the Muses last night.
Yes.
How was it for you?
It was a blast, so I apologize for my appearance right now. It was so much fun. It was my first time I rode, so I had no idea what to expect. Was that the first time that you rode too?
Yes.
Okay.
That was the first time, yeah.
It was a blast. I mean, it's something that I can't even explain how amazing it was, you know? It was just like, you try to prepare yourself when you see your friends, you know? I have my shoes made for my friends, but there's only so much you can do when there's like 8 million people screaming at you.
It's so exciting. Well, we're so excited to be here at NOLA Brewing. This is incredible. You guys are doing some amazing stuff down here for the community, and that's what we always try to do is feature local breweries that are doing really cool things. So if you could just go ahead and say get drafted, that would be great. That's kind of our motto.
Okay, get drafted.
All right, so Derek is so kind, and he is allowing us to tour the barrel room here at NOLA Brewing. Tell us what kind of beers you have fermenting back here and what's going on in this area.
All right, well, this is my new little laboratory here. We've been doing a lot of experimental stuff back here. So we started out with just the standard, you know, bourbon barrel-aged stouts, which we've had for a few years now. But now we're experimenting more with Brettanomyces and lactobacillus. So we're doing funky and wild beers. And
you are the king of funk.
Director of funk, correct.
So you got that covered for sure.
So we wanted to make sure that was isolated. So we built this separate room that we have, you know, humidity and temperature control to keep the barrels well conditioned, as well as just separate from all of our clean beers.
Sure.
So you know, we've got a bunch of different white wine barrels, red wine barrels, all sorts of bourbon and American oak as well. But we've just been trying new stuff, and we finally you know, settled on 4 recipes we're going to be coming out with in late March.
And barrel aging is getting bigger and bigger. I mean, it's a really cool sort of phenomenon that really started here in America, and we try to make everything bigger and better here, obviously. And I think it's really awesome that you guys have a room just sort of dedicated to this amazing part of brewing.
Yeah, I mean, it's now kind of coming back, but I mean, this is how beer was made hundreds of years ago before it was stainless steel, so it's kind of harkening back to the way beer was made before. You know, people want to get in touch with, you know, different older styles.
Right.
We're not really, we will be doing some lambic styles, but those take about 3 years to make.
Oh,
so
sure.
Nothing's going to be coming out soon for that. If you want, we can try the lower line out of the tank.
Please.
So,
yes.
Sure, let's give a little sample.
This is awesome. I love that you guys I love that you can try like straight from. This is great.
So this is actually our first large-scale batch. We've been doing this in single barrel sizes before, and this is our first official big batch in this tank. You'll notice it already tastes pretty fruity, and that's all due to the strain of lactobacillus we use. There's no actual.
Oh my gosh, this is amazing.
You'll also notice it's much warmer than normal beer.
Yes.
Because lactobacillus works at a much higher temperature than yeast does. So we actually have these tanks specifically heated so we can do lactobacillus fermentation here. I think we're one of the only breweries in the country doing that, having a heated and cooled fermenters where we can ferment.
Amazing! All right, Beer Army, we are having so much fun at NOLA Brewing, and we can't wait for more. It's time to get to the tour, so let's go! Upward and onward. All right, so we have John, aka Z-Dak, with us, who is a NOLA Brewing super fan, and he is here during Mardi Gras, obviously, and he's a magician as well.
Yes.
It's amazing.
You want to hold out your hand flat for me.
Okay.
Here, check it out. Nothing above it, nothing below it, nothing around.
Oh my gosh! The magic of New Orleans. Don't knock it over though. I don't want to put good beer to waste. That would be a shame.
Above it?
Oh my God.
That was my floor show. Just to show you there wasn't nothing more.
Amazing. I'm like, I had to come to NOLA Brewing to try the Muses brew, and I have to tell you, it is a party here. Obviously, there's a lot of people for this awesome tour of the brewery. It is so exciting for Brew for You to be able to come visit different cities, especially during Mardi Gras. And don't worry, we've got more surprises in store. And this isn't over. This party is not over. So I need to get back to drinking. You need to keep catching up with Brew for You. Great food, amazing beer. They are coming together here at Crescent City Brewhouse in the French Quarter of New Orleans, here on Brew for You. Come on in. We interview some amazing people, and today we are with Wolf, who is the brewmaster at Crescent City, and you are doing amazing things. You actually brew all German beers, and you're from Germany, correct?
Absolutely.
Yes, and tell me something about how German beers are different than anything you could get in the city. What makes Crescent City so special?
Well, I'm a German brewmaster. I brew German beers right here on Decatur Street. Have been doing that for 24 years. And you know, with the revolution in brewing in this country, people often forget that the most important beers in the world are made in Germany. So we brought my craft here to New Orleans, and guess what? Everybody loves it.
Yes, and you guys are having great success, especially during Mardi Gras season. How does that feel?
Oh, wonderful. You know, everybody loves a good beer, and you know, our Pilsner especially is a beer you can drink all day long and still be fit.
Yes. So one thing that's so special about Crescent City is that not only do you brew amazing beer, but you do food as well here, and you do all New Orleans traditional favorites.
Oh, absolutely, because, you know, people said to me, why don't you open a German restaurant? I said, with due respect, I love German food, I love it. However, I love New Orleans food much more. Creole, Cajun, and what better to go with it than German beer? So we have the perfect marriage.
I would love to try some of your beer and get a flight. Can I do that?
Absolutely, we're working on it right now. Let's get it over here so I introduce you to the different styles of beer we're making. Cheers, happy Mardi Gras.
Yeah, happy Mardi Gras. Well, we have some amazing beers right in front of us. Why don't you go ahead and give us a little description of each and tell me what we got here. This is my favorite part of the show as always. I love trying all the beers. So.
Okay, as you can see, we're starting out with the lightest one, which is the Pilsner, which is my favorite beer because, you know, Pilsner beer is probably 99% of all the beers in the world are called Pilsner one way or the other. But this is a typical example of a German Pilsner. Very crisp, very clean, very straightforward, dry hop finish. Then we're moving on to the Red Stallion. You might want to try this. I tried this.
This is incredibly clean and crisp, just like you said. It's got some floral notes, definitely a little bit of citrus in there. Yeah. But a really great drinking beer, easy drinking.
Exactly. All day long.
All day long. And who doesn't love beer all day long, really?
Especially when going to a parade. You know, I'm going to parades now at 1 o'clock and I'll be probably home by midnight.
All right, what do we got next?
The Red Stallion is a typical amber beer, as you would call it. It's brewed with Munich malt, Vienna malt, some interesting hops that are not as prominent as in the Pilsner, but are complementing the malty flavor that you find in there. So very nice and smooth finish and nice, almost like a spicy finish.
Yes, a little bit nutty, very toasty. I definitely taste a little bit of roasted malt in that. Very delicious, very delicious. I love that you guys are doing German beers. you know, it's amazing that you're bringing that culture to New Orleans. They need it here.
Absolutely, absolutely. And what better of German culture than Goethe, Schiller, and beer? You know?
Yes, of course. Yes, all right. We got your Weiss beer next, yes.
But, you know, there's an American version, and there's a Bavarian version, and there's a Belgian version of a Wit beer, Weiss beer. We're doing the typical Bavarian Weiss beer with a slight hint of banana, which we don't add, by the way. The yeast does all for that for us. And there's a hint of clove and banana if you want to try that.
Sure.
It's one of our top fermented beers, and it's very popular in Bavaria, but has captured the Germans by storm in the last 50 years. It went from just Bavaria to all of Germany now.
You know, this is another beer that's very easy drinking, really nice to have during Mardi Gras and for the summer as well. I definitely taste the banana and clove. One thing I do get a little bit at the end as well is a little bit of mint. It's like very, it's super refreshing, this beer.
Very, 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 very well put. It's one of those beers that it's not only for breakfast anymore.
Oh no! Hefeweizens can be drank all day, let me tell you. I love a good hef in the morning.
Yes, absolutely.
All right.
So now we're going to the Black Forest, which, you know, many people expect a dark beer to be heavy and syrupy. Ours is a middle of the road approach. It's very sweet on the beginning, but it ends up pretty dry. It has some very nice notes of chocolate and coffee, if you wish. And it doesn't have much of that burnt character you find in many dark beers, because still New Orleans is a warm climate, so we don't make beers that are that heavy and strong, because to me it's important that even a dark beer is drinkable and it doesn't go sideways after the first 3 sips.
Great. What a nice beer. Very roasted, well-rounded. I definitely taste a little bit of chocolate, a little bit of cocoa, definitely some espresso sort of notes in there as well. And it's very light. You're right about that. I think, you know, people have a perception that, you know, darker beers are going to be really heavy and, you know, sit sort of in your stomach for a while. But this is a beer that actually is very drinkable and for a long period of time. And I think that you're right. You know, people in New Orleans, you know, they're able to take their glass right out of the restaurant, and they need stuff that they can carry around during the day.
Exactly, exactly.
All right, here we go. Special brew.
Creole Alch, which is actually, you know, it's a German alt beer is made in Düsseldorf mostly, and it's a German ale, which is, you know, 90% of German beers are lagers. So this is one of the exceptions, but we call it Creole Alt because we have our own spin on it. Also, it's unfiltered, so it has the yeast, and as you can see, yeast and protein still in it is a mouthful, and it has a lot of it goes in a lot of different directions, if you wish.
So when all unfiltered beers are made, they actually tend to have a really cloudy appearance. So that's why this one does, and that's the same with Hefeweizens as well.
Exactly.
And this beer is incredibly delicious. Alt beers are really known for having sort of equal hops, equal malts, and they come together and they make delicious beer. They're not done that often, so this is really great to have.
Yes.
So what are your plans upcoming? What special beers are you planning to make for next month?
My favorite special is coming out in when this one runs out in about a week. We're going to have an Imperial Pilsner, which is basically the same recipe as this, but much stronger and much higher in hop content. So it's going to be one of those really, really strong. It's almost like a bock beer, but it's done in a dry fashion as an Imperial Pilsner.
Yes.
So that's my favorite coming up.
Well, I have to tell you, these beers were absolutely delicious, and it is incredibly special that you're doing something. You're bringing Germany to New Orleans,
That's
you know,
right.
And we're so lucky to have had you on this show.
Cheers to Brew for you.
Yes, get drafted. Brew for you fans, that was the best stuff that we've had so far. You want to talk about amazing food and amazing beer coming together at Crescent City? They're doing it right here. The culture of New Orleans is absolutely incredible, and we were lucky to be a part of it. I'm telling you, they've got good stuff here, and they are letting the good times roll.
We've got more in store, don't you worry, here on Brew for You. Thank you guys so much for tuning in here on Brew for You. We got to talk to some amazing people here at Mardi Gras in New Orleans, Louisiana. And let me tell you, it was a party. We got to talk to Wolf at Crescent City Brewhouse, and we got to go to NOLA Brewing, where we had an amazing time. There is always more in store, and we've got more breweries to go to next time on Brew for You.